Ramatra is dead, says Water7 from the Overwatch forums. Ram's whole shtick was piercing through barriers. First it was the stupid flower change, and now it's all barriers. Oust whichever dev got low def by Ram, because this makes no sense. As if a good breaker Ryan couldn't deal with a Ram. But no, let's baby the community. Another character completely killed. When we have characters like Bastion, Reaper, and Mauga who can bust shields, now we have this on top. 6v6 won't save this incompetence. You'll just be doing without thinking. The motto at Blizzard. So I saw this post on the Overwatch forums. My favorite place on the internet. I love the Overwatch forums. Nothing of intelligence is said there, ever. Everyone is always saying the dumbest shit, so I love it. It's my favorite. Anyway, this post was quite funny to me because in Season 13, we received some patch notes, and Ramatra was changed, so that instead of being able to punch through barriers with Nemesis form, he now does 2.5 times damage to the barrier, instead of punching through it. And people are molding, and they're like, holy, this character's dead. His whole thing was being able to do like 67 damage through a shield or whatever his punch is. It's like, it really wasn't that much. And now apparently because he can't do that anymore, I don't know, he's not a hero in the game anymore. I don't really know. I don't know what the argument is. But anyway, as a coach, someone who coaches the game for a living and understands it very deeply, I want to explain to everyone why everyone is wrong about Ramatra, saying they killed the character, and why he got unbelievably buffed, not nerfed. It's a buff. It's not just a little buff, it's egregiously large. So, the first thing we need to do to understand why it's a buff is get into the numbers a little bit. So, Ramatra, as of right now, with Pummel, that's his punching in Nemesis form, does 65 damage. Because it no longer pierces barriers and instead does 2.5 times the damage to the barrier, he now hits the barrier for 162.5 per punch. Okay? He punches 1.67 times per second, giving him a grand total DPS of 271.375 damage per second to barriers with punch. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means he breaks a break shield in less than a second. It means he breaks like a 6 shield in like 5 or something. He breaks monkey barrier in like less than 4. He breaks a Rhine shield in what, like 6 seconds. He annihilates shields. He's up there with Bastion time to break on shields. He fries them. And the reason this is a buff is because a big issue that Ramatra had in the duel with things like a monkey or a Rhine is that when he was presented with a barrier, he was the only player that could interact with the people behind the barrier by punching him. And due to the fact that that was the case, he could only punch them and no one else could, it meant that he wasn't really going to kill anyone through a barrier, because I mean, other than like Monkey when they're diving into your team and like for some reason there's a Genji with no cooldowns in there, then maybe that's a scenario, but it's very niche, so I'm not even going to bother talking about it. But let's say you're punching a Rhine. Only the Ramatra can punch the Rhine, so you're doing 65 damage to the Rhine, or whatever you're doing, right? Now, instead of being the person doing that 65 damage and it getting healed up and not really being of value, now you break the shield so unbelievably quickly that you can just kill the Rhine who has no shield in 6 seconds. So, if anything, what happened before was that a Ramatra would go Nemesis form, a Rhine would swing on him on a deep corner, and if he was presented with multiple people shooting him while he was getting punched by Ramatra, he would throw up his shield and tank all the punches and let his supports build ult charge off that and get healed up from it, and that was the most viable strategy for the Reinhardt, was to just eat the punches. But he could still have lots of barrier because no one could really break it very quickly and not Ramatra. So he had plenty of barrier for when the Nemesis form ended. He could walk on Ramatra and beat the living shit out of him when he was at a Nemesis form and kill him. because he had tons of barrier, and if he ever got into injury, just throw up his 1600 HP shield and he was fine. Well, now, instead of that, what's going to happen is that you will pop Nemesis form, you will punch the Ryan shield for 6 seconds at a maximum, because your teammates are probably also going to be shooting the shield. The Ryan shield will break, and now the Reinhardt can't do anything for like several seconds while his barrier recharges. So, every time you pop Nemesis form now, as a Ram, you are now forcing a Reinhardt to retreat immediately. Before, he could tank the punches because it wasn't that much damage. Now he has to run away because he doesn't have a barrier anymore. So, that's a huge buff to Ram. You're trading your 8-second cooldown for the Reinhardt to not be able to do anything for a long time. At least on Ramattra, you can still poke with your staff and you can do other things. Ryan can't do anything without his barrier. I suppose he can fire strike, but he's not taking any space. So when it comes to defensive things and even attacking side things, you're absorbing so much space by putting pressure on that shield. It's the same thing when it's like a Brig. You just break the Brig shield, she's fucking dead. You break the bubble, he's fucking dead. That is what it is, and you break shields so fast now on tank. We finally have a tank that's capable of breaking shield, that Ramattra is a hard counter to any barrier tank now. Whereas before he wasn't, because you could just eat the punches and it wasn't that big of a deal, because it wasn't that much damage. Now, it's so much damage the barrier it breaks, so the people that you're targeting have to retreat. You absorb way more space with the Ramattra. Now, I will accept the argument. Is it less fun? Yes, it's less fun. It was his identity as the guy who could punch through shields taken away. Yes, it was. Partially, at least, punching through shields was fun. But if you want to look at overall character strength, he is stronger. Is he less fun? Yes. But is he stronger? Yeah. So at the highest levels, Masters Plus, and in scrimming and things like that, when you're in the pro level, Ramattra will be way stronger. Way stronger. Because he's basically just a bastion in the tank role now for barriers. Plus, your Nemesis form was basically a block bot anyway, for when you just needed armor and you could throw a block and get healed up. So it's not like, if anything, this kind of makes him pretty much more useful outside of just being a block bot. At least he can break a barrier now. So there's that. And then there's people molding on Twitter and Reddit and the Overwatch forums like, Ramattra's dead, bro. This character's so bad. I'm like, dude, I'm sorry. You're wrong, my brother. You're wrong. I don't know how anyone would ever look at this and say he got nerfed. This is obviously a significantly large buff. He basically actually, he doesn't basically. He solos every barrier in the game outside of Symmetra's ult. So even then, I don't even know what Symmetra's ult health is. He might be able to break that. I don't think he can though, right? It's like 10,000 or something. I don't think he can break that, which is a good thing. But he also can't punch through it anymore, which is also a good thing. Like, I think we're forgetting Ramattra being able to punch through shields, and his Nemesis form in general being press shift and gain 300 armor or whatever it was, and then also be able to punch through shields and hold up block and take damage resistance. The character's already bullshit when it comes to survivability. He's very easy to stay alive on, and he had lethality through a shield, but also kind of not really, because if you weren't using it properly, you were killing nothing through a shield anyway. But at least now he is easier to play, and that's kind of it. I don't really know what else to say. He's just better. He's just objectively better in almost every way. I don't know how anyone would ever look at this and go, Ramattra's bad now. No, he's not. He's actually way better. Way better. And I can't wait for in 2 weeks or 3 weeks time, or mid-season, where Ramattra gets a buff because no one wants to play him. And then, you know, maybe some barrier. Maybe Ryan gets a buff too. And then Ryan and Ramattra are good. And it's a brawl meta. And then everyone's like, and my shield doesn't exist anymore. And then everyone's like, holy shit, this Ram change is bullshit. Just wait, because Junkrat's pretty good. And now Ramattra's also pretty good. So just wait for Reinhardt to get playable. He's not bad. He's pretty bad. But he's not bad. He's not that bad. He is bad though. But wait for Reinhardt to be a top pick, and then wait for all the people to play Junkrat Ramattra, and wait for all the Ryan players to go, I literally don't have a shield, because it breaks so quickly. It'll break in like 3 seconds with just those people shooting at it. It's so silly. Well, anyway, that's probably the death of barrier tanks. Ramattra is going to be obscenely overpowered against every barrier tank in the game now, because he's literally just a big bastion now, which is quite funny. Anyway, mark my words, because it will be funny when everyone starts moaning about this, and I'm gonna say, I fucking told you so. Anyway, have a nice day, guys. Goodbye. Mwah. Goodbye. Mwah. Goodbye. Mwah. Goodbye. Mwah. Goodbye. Mwah. Goodbye. 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 Goodbye.